So I've been thinking about it a lot, and I figured if there was one thing that you can always rely on this channel, it's not regular posting, because hi, it's been years, but it might be some type of book to movie or TV show adaptation taking over my entire life. Because that's basically what Heated Rivalry has done. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the show. I'm obsessed with Heated Rivalry. I read the books earlier this year, so I've been on it, you guys. You might think I've been off, I'm not reading. I'm reading. I'm reading. I read the whole series, then I found out it was becoming a show, then I watched said show, and now I'm here. I can't stop thinking about it to the point where I'm here sitting in front of you for the first time in forever. Hi, Laura, if you forgot Laura. First time in forever so that we can talk about books that are like Heated Rivalry, because I'm sure so many of you, if I know my audience still, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I know you guys, I bet all of you have read the Game Changer series by Rachel Reed, and you're looking for books that are similar, especially since Heated Rivalry is now finished with season 1, and we're going to be waiting probably over a year for season 2, which I don't want to think about it, but I have some really good book recs. You guys know I've been reading and recommending romance books for years. Like, I've been reading them forever. Some of these books date back to almost 10 years ago that I read them for the first time, but there's a few in my back pocket that I'm like, these are going to be staples. If you love Heated Rivalry, if you can't get enough and you need something, you're like fiending, I have you covered. So I want to get into those today with you guys. Always coming prepared with the notes. The first thing I want to talk about, Iced Out by CE Ricci. This is book 1 in the Leighton You series. This is a series of 4 books. I believe there's going to be a 5th. I'm specifically only talking about Iced Out, the first one. This book is probably the closest you're gonna get to a Heated Rivalry vibe. This follows 2 boys who are both in college and they play on the same hockey team. However, they are still considered rivals on the ice, even though, they're on the same team. But they have this ongoing feud between them. They do not like each other whatsoever. However, you guys know hockey players, they're very superstitious. And one night before a game, they end up randomly hooking up at a party. Just one thing leads to another. They hook up at this party, right? Next day, they win their game for like the first time in forever. So being the superstitious hockey players that they are, think Scott Hunter with his blueberry smoothie. It's exactly like that. They're like, I guess we need to keep hooking up, even though we hate each other, and that was really weird, and what was that? I guess we're gonna keep hooking up. What could go wrong? But like I said, this whole enemies to lovers arc is definitely the most reminiscent of Shane and Ilya. So if you love that part of the story, I think you'll really enjoy this book. I remember absolutely devouring this book the first time I read it. I really do need to read the rest of the series. I don't think that they're all hockey romances. I think that's probably why I didn't finish, but I think there's like a mixture of sports or something like that. But the first one's hockey, very reminiscent of Heated Rivalry. You should go read it. My next recommendation is one that I have been giving for years, so you've probably heard me talk about it. It is the Him and Us duology by Kennedy and Serena Bowen. A lot of you guys probably know Kennedy for writing the Off Campus series, which is a straight hockey series. This is a specific duology. It's 2 books, and I believe there's a novella that follow 2 boys. They are best friends. They go to a hockey camp growing up. That's where they meet. They're roommates. One night, something kind of happens between them. There's this dare that crosses boundaries. Nothing's the same after. They kind of end up losing touch because it was this crazy thing that happened between them. They both don't really know how to act after this night unravels, and they end up losing touch for 4 years. They end up reconnecting, and they go back to this hockey camp as roommates again, but this time as coaches at the camp. And they kind of reconcile, figure out what went wrong all those years ago, one of them being openly gay at this point. And there's a whole can of worms that gets opened, and I just love these 2. I love this story. This was probably the first hockey book I ever read. I remember it being like one of the originals. I think I read it back in college in 2018, so that's kind of crazy. But I know I've talked about it a bunch. It's one of my favorites. It still holds up to this day. It's only 2 books, so I promise you'll fly through them. But yeah, I really love these ones. And the characters are similar to Shane and Ilya. Obviously, their circumstances are a little bit different because it's like friends to lovers. But they kind of have that like friends to enemies to lovers. Not enemies, but like they lose touch. It's a whole drama. drama. Like, you'll love it. So check that one out if you haven't already. This is another series that I know I've talked about on my channel before. It's the CU Hockey series by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is a series of 5 books. Now, this series is pretty reminiscent of the Game Changer series by Rachel Reed in the sense that every single book follows a different couple. They're all MM and they're all hockey, but they kind of differ. There's some tropes that are very similar to Shane and Ilya and some that emulate more of the other couples in the Game Changer series. So for instance, the second book, which is weirdly enough, Heated Rivalry is the second book, is kind of an enemies to lovers. They both play hockey on the same team vibe. But there are other books in the series, like Brother's Best Friend is the first book in the series. I really, really loved that one. In that one, only one of them is a hockey player. So again, like Game Changers, there's a few that are like that. There's friends to lovers, there's coach's son. There's so many different tropes. These are the quickest reads. I remember discovering this series and just blowing through it, and then I would be like waiting for the next one to come out. I think at this point it is done, but I know that these authors do write a lot of MM romance, so if you're kind of wanting to venture outside of the hockey sphere, go check those out. But I definitely recommend starting with this series. I'm a huge fan of it. I genuinely love all of them, but book 2, again, they all have like these weird quirky names, but book 2 is definitely my favorite and the most similar to Shane and Ilya. So those are all of my recommendations for books that are like Heated Rivalry in the sense that they're MM romances that take place within the hockey world. I definitely have so many more MM romances. Again, this is like a genre I've been reading for a really long time. So if there's other kinds of recommendations that you guys want, please let me know. I'm really hoping that now that we're back here together sharing this experience, that I will be back in the swing of things. I can make more videos for you guys. Let me know what you want to see. I do really want to make a video for you guys sharing my favorite romance books of 2025, just because, you know, there's been so many books that I've read and we've literally never talked about. Honestly, years of books that I've read. I've still been reading at a pretty aggressive pace. I just haven't been sharing the books with you. If you follow me on Goodreads, that's probably the only people that really know what I've been up to. So I would love to make that video for you guys, but if there's anything else or specific recommendation videos that you want to see, I would really, really love to do them for you. So let me know. But yeah, this was super fun. I hope you found a new book to read. And if all else fails, just go back on and watch Heated Rivalry again. I've already watched it twice, maybe 3 times. You guys, like, I can't, I'm obsessed. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on all of my other social medias. I've actually been pretty consistently active on those. So like my Instagram, my TikTok, I do have Twitter, but I don't really use it. Goodreads, you guys know. It'll all be linked down below. Otherwise, Happy New Year, happy 2026. Crazy. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of each other this year. I love you guys and thank you so much for watching. Bye.